and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2022-23 season. My name is Dan, and today we are doing my Game Week 24 team selection video. We're going to have a look at my team captaincy and transfers for the week, so hopefully you're going to enjoy this one. Please do leave a like if you do, and do subscribe if you're new around here as well. But first of all, guys, let's have a look at our Game Week 23 scores. Okay, so Game Week 23 has been my first red arrow since the restart, so a little bit disappointed I couldn't keep the streak going, but hey, if this is a bad week, down 17,000 places, then I suppose it could be a lot worse, isn't it? I don't think 77 points is a bad score, but it's certainly not a great score. We have had some disappointments in this team. Kepa didn't keep his clean sheet, didn't get his regular 10-pointer. Trippier, disappointing again, another 2-pointer. Ake, no returns there from him. Bruno Fernandes played very well, almost scored a goal, didn't happen. We could possibly say that Ødegaard was a bit quiet this game week as well. Kane, we expected him to do well against Leicester. It's his favourite opponent, and yet Spurs got absolutely battered in that game. He was perhaps a little bit unlucky. And Nketiah missing chances as well. So this team, when we set it up, it looked like one of those teams that could score 100 points. It wasn't to be on this particular occasion. For a lot of people, this has been a bit of a troll week. I know a lot of people sold the likes of Almiron and Tony, who obviously scored points. A lot of people benching the likes of Shaw. It's been a bit of a troublesome week for a lot of people, myself included. But I think the biggest thing of all, and this is no one's fault but my own, I suppose, is that I did bottle my Fernandes to Mahrez transfer. I did think about doing the De Bruyne transfer, but that would have meant that I couldn't get Saka. So I am very glad I got Saka at least last game week, but I should have gone the one extra mile and gone for Mahrez as well, because that would have been a big swing in my favour, and that would have taken us into a green arrow. But I have to try and remember to myself that the reason I didn't bring Mahrez in the end, the reason I didn't go for it was because I was worried about his game time in game week 24 and 25. So this week for Fernandes versus Mahrez, I'm hoping Fernandes is going to repay some of my faith in him. I'm hoping that Mahrez doesn't play at all. Otherwise, this decision of sticking with Fernandes is going to look very poor from me indeed. But look, it is what it is. You can't have everything go your way every week in FPL. I've had a good, lucky streak, and I feel like one little blip is not the end of the world. I'm looking forward to future game weeks for sure, starting with game week 24. Alright, so Game Week 24, we've got one free transfer, 1.3 million in the bank. Let's start off in goal with Kepa, who I am hoping is going to have a return to greatness. We know what we love about Kepa recently. It's been 10 pointers after 10 pointers because Chelsea don't really score many goals, and they've been pretty solid defensively as well, and Kepa makes a lot of saves as well. He's done really well for saves this season, not just quantity of saves, but also save percentage. Really impressive from him, which is very good. We've got a fixture against Southampton. Typically, you would say Southampton is a fairly easy fixture for a defender or goalkeeper, so hopefully we're going to be back to business as usual. More Kepa, 9 pointers, 10 pointers to the moon. Let's go, Kepa owners. We need to get back on that hot streak, don't we? Moving on into defense, I am going to start off with Kieran Trippier. I know not everyone is going to be starting Trippier, but there's just so much upside here, I think. I know Trippier has had two pointers in a row, which has obviously been a bit disappointing. Trippier has been like Mr. Consistent, but it hasn't really been coming off for him recently. But still, I'm not super convinced by Liverpool even now. I know they got their result against Everton, but look, you know, it's just one result, one game. You have to remember just a week before that, they were losing, you know, by several goals to Wolves, a team that doesn't score too many goals. So when we look back at this fixture, we still know that Liverpool's defence is in absolute shambles, in absolute tatters. We should probably hope that Newcastle can maybe get an attacking return against them. If they are, it's going to be Trippier creating. If they keep a clean sheet, who's going to get the bonus points? It's going to be Kieran Trippier. So, look, the upside here for Trippier is still very high. If they can manage to keep a clean sheet and Trippier gets an attacking return, this could be one of those weeks where Trippier does go and get himself a nice 12-pointer. So, I think that would be very nice to see, and I think it's very possible. So, I'm going to stick with him. I think the risk of not going for Trippier and benching him, you know, this is a player who's like, a 95% effective ownership player at most ranks. He's like owned by like 95, 100% of people. If he goes off, if he pops off in game week 24, and you've benched him, that's going to be problems. That is going to be big, big problems. Next up, Luke Shaw playing against Leicester. I think this should be a fairly good game for him. Although Leicester have been scoring goals recently, Man United's defensive numbers are looking really good at the moment. They're currently sort of sitting top 2, 3, 4 defences in the Premier League. It really is. Man City, Man United, Newcastle and Chelsea. They're kind of the big 4 defences at the moment. Really, Arsenal have kind of dropped out of that now. So Luke Shaw still playing for one of the top defences. We can see every game, you know, he is being creative. He is making driving runs into the box. It's very, very good to see how good Luke Shaw has been. And I'm not totally convinced by Leicester's defence even now. It's kind of like a middling fixture, but I still think he could get something out of it. Ake next. I'm hoping that we're going to get a start out of Ake in this game, but I'm not fully confident about this one. I think the problem with Man City at the moment is the defenders are just being rotated like absolutely crazy. No one's safe. And now we've got the Champions League games coming in. It's going to be even crazier and it's going to be even less safe, really. So it's going to be a problematic. But what you would say is that if you can get a start out of your Man City defender, then against Nottingham Forest, against Bournemouth, you would probably hope that we get a clean sheet there. I know Man City haven't been getting too many clean sheets recently, but they're still putting up really good defensive numbers, and they have been perhaps a little unlucky not to keep a few more clean sheets. So those of you guys who have had starting Man City defenders, I think you can consider yourself to be a little bit unlucky if you've not got points and you've not hit the right player at the right time. But look, you've got to be in it to win it. Maybe we can get a Nathan Ake clean sheet out of one of these fixtures. We've been waiting a while for it, to be fair. Into midfield, we've got Bruno Fernandes, who has to make up for the fact that I kept him instead of getting Mahrez. Will he perform against Leicester? Well, look, his performances recently have been fantastic. He's had multiple opportunities to score goals. He is on penalties, obviously. He is creating a hell of a lot of chances for his teammates, and he's doing really, really well on bonus points as well. So it's not going to take too much for him to get another 10-pointer plus. I think so. Yeah, a game against Leicester should be pretty heated. It should be pretty interesting, and I hope that Fernandes can repay that faith to everyone, not just me, everyone who has stuck with him, because otherwise we're going to look kind of silly. We're going to have to maybe get the clown nose and wig back on for keeping Fernandes, particularly if the likes of Mahrez delivers in Gameweek 24. But here's hoping. It's the hope that kills us, though, right, guys? Saka is against Aston Villa, so we are on triple Arsenal. We'll come to that in a second, but Saka is a player I'm very, very glad I did pick up last game week. Did really, really well. Getting the scoring the penalty, obviously, against Edison was always very, very nice to see. And it's good to just have a player who's on penalties when you occasionally get them. But his overall play has been really good as well. And what we saw against Man City, even though Arsenal didn't get the result, is we saw some fantastic attacking play. Some really fantastic attacking play. And you would think against a weaker opponent that Arsenal would be able to go there and score a few goals. Now, the great thing about this Aston Villa fixture is that Aston Villa, since the World Cup, have been putting up the worst defensive numbers of any team in the Premier League. So this is going to be a real opportunity if Arsenal can keep the attacking impetus that they had from last game and able to be as creative and as kind of silky as they were against Man City, then this could be a game where Arsenal do score a few goals, similar to Man City scoring 3 goals against Aston Villa in Game Week 23. We can see Arsenal scoring a few goals here as well, and in that case it's going to be very good to be on the likes of Saka indeed. Next up, Rashford against Leicester. He's in such good form that we're just expecting him to just score at every single game at this point, aren't we? He's an absolute machine. Must have, must own. You know, more of the same, please, Marcus Rashford. That would be pretty nice indeed. And actually, Rashford is a captaincy consideration. If you want to know more about the captaincy numbers of a lot of top FPL managers, do make sure you go check out the 100 experts video that I posted yesterday to check out who is captaining who. And let me tell you guys, a few people are actually captaining Rashford, perhaps more than you would think. Next up, Ødegaard. Again, Aston Villa away. It's a good fixture. It's a really good fixture, and you'd hope that the likes of Saka and Ødegaard are going to get something out of this game. I'm backing Saka a little bit more at the moment. Ødegaard have been not quite as exciting as he perhaps has been when I didn't own him, but maybe I've jinxed Ødegaard. I don't know, but you know, at least, as long as I haven't jinxed Saka, I guess that's something. Haaland up front against Nottingham Forest. I've got this as a grey fixture just because I feel like we have to include some fixtures. Some fixtures have to be grey fixtures, don't they? Surely. Like, we can't just put all of the worst teams green and all the best teams red. We've got to have some middle ground somewhere. And Nottingham Forest are putting up the 6th best defensive numbers in the league. But at the same time, this is Erling Haaland, this is Man City. The one concern really is there going to be some benching, some rotations. You would feel like that Haaland maybe either doesn't play or gets substituted off fairly early in one of the next 2 games, particularly after their result against Arsenal has eased the pressure a little bit. And Champions League is still going to be very much the primary focus of Manchester City, you would have thought. So it's going to be a difficult to kind of predict when Haaland is going to be rested. Maybe that's going to be an opportunity to captain someone else, but we'll come back to that later on in the video. Next up, Harry Kane against West Ham, disappointing against Leicester, but overall he's just been fantastic recently. Even if Spurs have been terrible, he's been consistently getting those returns. So I'm hoping that he's going to, come back and make up for the lack of points in Game Week 23 by scoring twice as many in Game Week 24. Big London derby, home game. Exciting stuff, always exciting stuff to be a Kane owner. He's just a very pleasant player to own because he just delivers so frequently. And finally, Edward Nketiah, a little bit wasteful against Man City, but what was so important is that he was on the end of so many chances. So many chances were coming towards him, and he is still really leading the way in terms of expected goals for Arsenal players. So it's kind of suggests that when we have this fixture like Aston Villa, slightly easier fixture, maybe an understatement here, but a slightly easier fixture, and suddenly we have a situation where you can start converting your numbers and turning them into actual goals, as Nketiah has done in previous game weeks. We know he's a decent finisher. We know he's a player who gets in the right places at the right time. So there's going to be opportunities here, you would really think, given Aston Villa's defensive fragility. So this one is actually one I'm fairly excited about. He's one of my more differential players in my team, and I'm hoping he can do the business ready for the following game week, double game week 25, where he can absolutely go crazy. But yeah, certainly this triple Arsenal attack, when you're looking at a fixture like this, is quite mouth-watering. It's very nice to see. Like the look of it. I like the look of the fact that we don't have Martinelli either, because I think there's justified worry that the likes of Martinelli may be rotated with Trossard. You could say a similar thing about Ben White and Tomiyasu as what we saw against Man City. So look, it's going to be an interesting one for sure to see if the Arsenal triple attack, which is a risky strategy, but I think a good one, can it pay off? Let's see. Onto the bench, guys. Ward against United. He's not going to play ahead of the big man Kepa. We've got Lewis Dunk against Fulham. I think there's an opportunity to play Lewis Dunk against Fulham there, but I'm just not convinced that he is that much better than the likes of Trippier. Trippier is probably the only player out of the three-man defence there I consider benching, other than maybe Ake. Like, if I feel like Ake is not going to start against Nottingham Forest, which is potential there, then maybe I just, go with the guaranteed minutes of Dunk rather than we're risking getting a one-pointer with Ake, because one frustrating thing about Ake is that he does get one-pointers. So there is potential for me to swap those two players around. Let me know what you would do in that situation, Ake or Dunk this week. What do you think? Particularly as Fulham are not creating as many chances this side of the World Cup, are they either? So maybe a home game, maybe an opportunity for a clean sheet for Brighton there. Bueno, kind of out of favour at the moment, a little bit disappointing. Andreas against Brighton. Not going to back Andreas against Brighton, I don't think, this week either. Maybe I could swap the bench order a little bit, but look, if Bueno starts against Bournemouth, 6-pointer there, hopefully, you would say. I don't know. So yeah, there you go, guys. That is the team. Now, in terms of transfers, I am not going to be making a transfer this week. I'll just tell you that there. I just feel like I would rather keep my options as open as possible, because we're going to find out a lot of information over the next few weeks about double game weeks, about more blank game weeks as well. And I want to be starting to, finalise this strategy by, sort of the game week 26 deadline. I want to have a defined strategy, and it's going to give me the best opportunity if I can save my transfer. So I have a couple of options really. I can either I'm going to roll the transfer this week. I could either use those transfers in 25 and start switching out some of those blanking players. We've still got Fernandes in here. We've got Trippier, could potentially go out. As long as I was to wildcard fairly soon, I can maybe take out Trippier. I want to keep Rashford, of course, but Dunga I would like to keep as well for his doubles. Bueno, am I worried about his minutes? I am a little bit. Luke Shaw, I think he could be sacrificed as well, with the potential to bring him back in at a later date. So look, there are a few little switches that could be made in Game Week 25, particularly with double Game Week players. I figured out routes to get Salah into my team in 25. I figured out routes to get, you know, likes of Tarkowski and Kilman in as well. I haven't found a route to get Darwin Nunez in, but that's probably a good thing. I've not even tried to do that, and I don't think I will either. But yeah, look, what I want to do for this week is keep my options as open as possible and kind of try and figure out what I'm going to be doing over Game Week 25, 26, trying to start to finalise a strategy for the rest of the season. And that's really going to kind of decide what kind of moves I make. Do I go for Salah? Do I take a hit in 25? Do I dead end my team into Game Week 26 with the potential for a wild card in Game Week 27? That can mean that I'm actually taking out players that I quite like Trippier, for example. So there's lots of options still. Want to keep them open. I would advise those of you guys who still have all your chips left, try and keep those options open as much as you can. And finally, guys, I need to talk about captaincy. So I will tell you the truth. Right now, my captain's armband is on Erling Haaland against Nottingham Forest, and my vice captain is on Rashford against Leicester. But I would be lying to you if I was to tell you I wasn't considering captaining Rashford. Now, the main thing is, it's just because Haaland has got the Champions League coming up. And I'm wondering, you know, he did get that little bit of a knock in the first game in Game Week 23 against Aston Villa. You're wondering if maybe, you know, he is still kind of feeling the effects of that. He kind of played through the pain against Arsenal, potentially. And maybe we need an opportunity soon to rest Erling Haaland. Maybe that's going to be Nottingham Forest. It's not an amazing fixture anyway. It's a decent fixture, don't get me wrong. It's not a hard fixture, but it's not like the dream fixture, is it? So overall, I think this could, and particularly as I can see a lot of people are going for Rashford captain this week, it's not like all on Haaland like it is usually. Most weeks it's like 90-95% of people going for him. This week I don't think it's going to be the same. I think it's going to be like, I don't know, 70-75% on Haaland, 20-25% on Rashford, maybe a sprinkle of others, Harry Kane, Saka maybe. There could be a few other options there. But yeah, right now we're on Haaland captain, Rashford vice. I can see myself switching that round by deadline. I'm going to keep my ears to the wall. I'm going to look for team news. I'm going to read into press conferences. I'm going to get the opinions of certain other people as well to see what other people think, what fans think. And yeah, we're going to try and figure this out. But if I think there's like even like a 30% chance Haaland's going to get rotated, I think that's going to be enough for me to go Rashford and just hope for a miracle, really. But the fact is, Rashford also plays midweek. But hey, that's we could go on and on about and round around in circles forever on this one, so I'm not going to do that. But look, I'm thinking about it. Maybe you'll find out by our deadline stream on Saturday what I decide to do in the end. But right now, I'm undecided, and I'll tell you the truth on that one. So there we go. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like. Please do subscribe if you're new around here. Don't forget, there has been a few more videos uploaded on the channel over the last couple of days that I implore you to go and check out. And we're also going to be doing a nice new updated chip strategy video tomorrow on Friday. So yeah, hopefully a few of you guys are going to be interested in that, and we're going to go into the detail of some more concise kind of chip strategies that we might be thinking about using, because we've got a lot more information than when I did the last video. And I think we can start to really narrow down what are the best kind of moves. And I do think it has been significantly narrowed down of what are the most optimal kind of strategies. So yeah, we'll leave it there for now. But thank you for watching once again, and I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.